Hello. Welcome to another evening of poetry and tea reviews. I just confirmed that Instagram is on board, so that's exciting. That's what I was waiting on. Dum, da, dum. Super. Okay. Welcome back to another Friday night with me. I am your host, Zoe Miles Lozier. We are writing poetry together and reviewing tea. I am so pumped. I'm writing poems about my postpartum season. They're super rich. What's really nice about these poems is I follow a process that I outline in the poetry journal. There is a free download available in the description of this video. Not of the whole journal, but of the process and editing guide. And I do mean free. It's not even like enter in your email. MailChimp wasn't working. So it's just totally free. Grab it while you can before I try to suck you into my newsletters. Anyway, what's really nice is typically when I write poems, they come out in just like little bits. I write free writes and then I just take bits and pieces and we sew them in together. But what was really beautiful about my postpartum season is it's so emotional and so exhausting and so full of that right brained energy that they just mostly just came out as whole poems. So we're going to be going through and editing those today. We have a couple of snippets of free writes to add in. Can't wait to do this poetry writing thing with you. But first, let's do a tea review. Once again, I am reviewing rooibosses. I have 3 different kind of rooibos teas to review. This evening, we are looking at a rooibos hibiscus. This is going to be a super floral tea, pretty sharp with that hibiscus flavor. These hibiscus, chamomile, floral things are not really my favorite in tea, so we're holding on to some reserve on that one. This one is going to be Zanzibar. It is named after Zanzibar, which is an archipelago off of or in Tanzania on the east coast of Africa. It's going to have a lot of clove, essential orange oil, and we had cloves in our chai rooibos last week, so I'm going to be interested in see if those are complementary. Hello, Heather DeShazer. I've decided that my question for the evening when people hop on is that what are we drinking tonight? I'm drinking rooibos tea. Heather, what are you drinking tonight? Okay, cream caramel is going to be our last rooibos that we're going to review during this poetry writing session. This is personally one of my favorites, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Rooibos is a decaf tea. Naturally, it's full of antioxidants. It's still really, really good for you and has all those tea benefits, but it doesn't have the caffeine. It's typically a red tea. It's always reminded me of what it's very earthy, but if I had synesthesia, this is what I would think the color red smells like. Some people think that's super weird. Whatever, it's fine. I'm a poet. I can get by with things like that, right? Okay, so let's drink. We're good on steeping time for this rooibos hibiscus. It's kind of purpley, which is cool. I also, one of the things I like about it too is that is hot because it's tea. Liquid IV water. Heather is drinking liquid IV water. Everyone getting extra hydrated. Is there a specific brand that you like? I have not ventured very much into the liquid IV world yet. It smells really good. So, okay, I'm gonna lift it up and see if you can see it. It's kind of a little bit more purpley than red. Let's see. Oh, it's gonna be real hot. Maybe I should steep and then write poetry and then drink it because we'll see. Okay, so you guys don't have to hear me slurping. Okay. I surprisingly like this a lot better than I thought I would. So this is rooibos hibiscus. All of these are from Urban Tea House. I don't have any affiliates or anything. Mic down. I don't have any affiliates or anything. I just really love that organization. My husband and I have a history with them. Okay, their note is that this is great for iced tea. It has a lot of ingredients, like a orange peel and safflower and rose and blue mallow and cornflower and marigold and rosehip and lemongrass and natural flavors. Just tagged in there for, I don't know, good luck, I guess. Okay, but I typically don't like really floral teas. That one's honestly not bad. So it still has that kind of tartness that you associate with hibiscus, but there's something sweeter in there too. And I wonder if the earthiness of the rooibos is bringing it down a little bit. So I would say, of all of the rooiboses I've had with um, these tea reviews, this is probably my least favorite, but it is still not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So that's, there's that at least. Okay, let's write. I'm going to set a 20-minute timer for our next review. And for that one, we're going to be reviewing a rooibos called Zanzibar, named such after its the cloves. The cloves are from the archipelago of Zanzibar off the coast of East Africa. Let's write poetry. Again, I am using the process that is found in the poetry journal, which is my product, the poetry journal. It does not typically have this line across it. This is just because I'm cheap and didn't want to buy more copies after I was like, okay, this is done now. So, all right. It looks like maybe my screen isn't showing up on Instagram. Heather, or anyone watching, if you can tell me if you can see my screen on Instagram, because I cannot. Okay, so we are reading poems. So I've got some takeouts. So these are just like little snippets of free writes that I thought sounded really good. We can read through them together. And then I've got larger chunks of what I think are whole poems. So my hope tonight will be to take these little, okay, she cannot see my screen. I don't know what to do about that. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. I think I am just like really little on her screen though now. Or your screen if you're watching someone else besides Heather. Hi, Heather. Okay. Well, I guess we'll keep going for now. And I will remember that this happened and fix it later. Some other time. We're gonna write poetry. Here we go. So here are some of the little snippets of free writes that I'm potentially going to put in the other poems that we're working on. Okay, ready? Here we go. Honeysuckle greets the tornado. They get to see a different mom. Bridget had a brain tumor that got her 7 years later. It insists that I do. The humidifier and Scott's sound machine feel my mouth dry from saltine smell, the spit up coating my almost dry hair. Feel her soft skin move across my arm as she breathes steadily. Breathes steady breaths of sleep. Okay, remember, this is postpartum poetry. So, content warning, licking my nipple, unlatched, mouth open. It's like me getting water out of my ear, hand banging on the other until it all falls out in words. Round bedside lamps and leather straps that hang the pine curtain rods and the blackout curtains, especially the yellow one bought from the secondhand shop behind the church, and my ukulele, the growler, and cuttings of Queen Anne's lace in them. What tree did this come from? The marriage bed my grandfather bought that he never had. On the other side of this is rain. Almost feel it lick your toes when the sound machine is set to wave. Speaking of, you probably can hear Evie's sound machine. It was the one they bought at Guitar Center. Post-it notes around the house. But what I need from her is to be a daughter tied in a sling on her chest. She said his head was in his hands. I will not leave him again when he's panicked, pushed away to be distracted from me. Okay, so those were just little take out Pieces from my free write. And then these are the wholer poems. So we're just going to work on this one right now. First, we're going to see, step one is to see if this whole-ish poem draft if I can put any of these little takeouts in here. And then we're going to go through my editing tools and edit the poem. And we're just going to do this with as many of my postpartum poems as we can. We'll just get through it. Okay, this one says, I wept these fingers and toes and apricot ears. If I put them on 3 times speed, I could visibly see grow. And there's a piercing pain in my lower back lumbar. She won't sleep except on me. So I'm wearing my carrier like a top, walking with my nose out, chest forward, walking, constant glow down my quads and up my back. I waddle, hunched over, sit down as much as possible. Delirious, an infant on your chest, and a carrier perhaps slightly tugging on your nipple, possibly dying from suffocation at any moment, according to the warning labels, a toddler who won't hold your hand because, ironically, you're a safe person. And this is how his feelings about his new little sister are manifesting by telling you to go back to sleep when you touch him. He could die at any moment, and you'll be just as helpless because you're not recovered from labor yet and haven't been cleared to lift anything heavier than a newborn. Okay, so let's see if any of these outtakes fit in that full poem. I don't see anything. I will not leave him again when he's panicked, pushed away to be distracted away from me. No. Okay. All right. So now that I have looked to see if there is anything. Hello, viewer. Here's our game tonight. We are talking about what we're drinking. These are tea review, poetry writing sessions. And I currently this evening am reviewing rooibos teas. I'm drinking a rooibos hibiscus, which I don't typically like floral teas. But this one is fine, is my review of this one. Okay. So if you are watching, let me know what you're drinking. So I wept these fingers and toes. So now we're going to look at these free editing guidelines that you can get to in the description of your video. Okay, take a word you've used in the poem to describe an abstract idea, like love, faithfulness, or sadness, and write down what image the idea inspires. Roses, sunrise, tissues, follow the image a line or two to see where it takes you. Take what works and use that instead of or in addition to the initial abstract idea word. Okay, let's go in here and see if there are any abstract ideas. Pain would be, what's an idea? Let's see. Okay, constant. Here's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if, I'm not crazy about this top part. So I wonder if I like this constant glow down my quads and up my back. I wonder if, there's a way to use that within this bottom one. Okay, but let's keep to the assignment. Delirious. So delirious is an idea. So delirious. What do we think of when we think of the word delirious? Unfocused eyes that are awake but not seeing, blurred, somewhere else in the back of its mind. Oh, hey, My stream just popped up on Instagram. Welcome. Welcome. Okay, so unfocused eyes. Its mind. Okay, delirious, unfocused eyes are awake but not seeing, blurred somewhere else in the back of its mind. Um, Blurred, feeling slightly somewhere else. Blurred, feeling slightly somewhere else. Should we leave delirious there? Delirious, blurred, slightly somewhere else. I'm gonna have to edit that in a second too. Slightly somewhere else, an infant on your chest in a carrier, perhaps slightly tugging on your nipple, possibly dying from suffocation any moment, according to the warning labels. A toddler. Okay. Okay. I think that's good. Okay. Let's look at, get out of here. Let's go to the next one. Try to describe at least 3 of the 5 senses. So we're just gonna, how about I do this? You waddle, hunched over, sit down as much as possible. Okay, I kind of like that. All right, I'm gonna leave this. I like having the thought about like how hard that postpartum season was on my body. Um, because the reason I write these poems is yes, artistic expression, but it's also this poetry transports me back to where I was, and it's really powerful to me in that way. Yeah, I agree with Urban Tea House. This would make a really, really good cold tea. Less, I mean, I'm generally, again, not a fan of florals. So, okay, next editing guideline. Find a place or a thing that is not human and make something about it human. So, the carrier is not human. The warning labels are not human, but I can make them human or do something human. Okay, so carrier hugged in a, I'm going to make the warning labels hiss. And that's not, I mean, humans can hiss. Obviously, that's more of like a cat thing, but that's what we're gonna do. I like it. Okay. Find any word that ends in ly. Now find the verb nearby. If you can remove the ly word and replace the verb with a different verb that adds the that the ly word added. So like she sang loudly versus she belted. So let's find our ly word. We just slightly is the one we just did. Oh, we got a lot of LYs. I usually stick away from them. But of course, this is like pure free write, straight out of the box. Okay. Okay, slightly. What would be delirious, blurred, slightly somewhere else? Hmm. So like a not fully there, not present, absent. distracted, transported. I would take any help on alternatives. Slightly somewhere else. Slightly somewhere else. Not here. Still dreaming. What about like a dream foggy? But that's like delirious blurred. One foot in bed. Slightly somewhere else. Disoriented. I think disoriented is maybe a good word. Disoriented. Okay, perhaps slightly tugging. I don't think you have to lightly tug. I mean, a hard tug is something else. Tugging on your nipple. Possibly dying. I like this. I think I'll keep this possibly just because it pairs well with this perhaps. Okay. Oh, I'm getting a zoop, zoop, zoop. So that means it is time for our next tea. So I'm going to get everything prepped and steeped, and then we will drink some more tea. Our next tea is a Zanzibar tea. So I'm going to keep writing poetry. And then once we get to steep in on that one, I will talk about it. Okay. Because ironically, you're the same person. I think I like that. I'll just take out ironically. I think the irony comes up later. And this is how he's feeling about his new little sister. No, that's right. His feelings. That's right. I'm manifesting. My poetry instructor was all about some colons because she said that colons bleep, bleep, transcended. They like took you up to the next level. And I say that they're my favorite punctuation. I really haven't thought that much about it, but I think in honor of my professor, that is true. Okay, so our next tea is a Zanzibar. It's going to come back to me. Hello, me. So we are doing tea reviews. Tonight I am drinking rooibos tea. This tea is called Zanzibar. It is from Urban Tea House in Oklahoma City. It originated, well, the cloves at least originate in Zanzibar, hence the name. And it is in Zanzibar is an archipelago off the coast. Well, it's included in Tanzania, but an archipelago of Tanzania on the east coast of Africa. This one requires, no, it was last one that had a little bit of extra steep time. So 5 minutes steep time. Last tea review, we reviewed, or last week when we did tea reviews, we reviewed a chai. That also was pretty clove heavy. So I'm interested in if the Zanzibar has a complementary flavor to the chai. So I'm excited to drink that one. We're going to let it steep for just a little bit and write poetry in the meantime. Okay, so let's hop back over to our editing guidelines. Find anywhere you can use of, can you replace it with an apostrophe? I don't see an of here. Okay, find anywhere you use like or as. Okay, we've got an sit down as much as possible. Um, yeah, sit down as much as possible. So the idea of like replacing like an as would be to take it from a simile to a metaphor, which is a strategy that I learned in a high school poetry reading course. So this isn't necessarily a simile, but I do think that we can do a little better than sit down as much as possible. It's like a repose, recline, reclining often, resting often, beat up often. Yeah, keeping your feet up. Okay, keeping your feet up. All right, I think that's a little better. Maybe not like perfect, but whatever. We're doing it. Okay, are you using proper grammar? You can break the rules, but do it on purpose. Delirious, blurred, disoriented. You waddle, hunched over, keep your feet up. Well, I guess waddling, you waddle, hunched over. I'm going to just remove that. An infant on your chest, hugged in a carrier, perhaps tugging on your nipple, possibly dying from suffocation at any moment. Hiss warning labels. Hiss the warning labels. Hiss warning labels. Per hissing warning labels. Okay. Delirious, blurred, disoriented. You waddle hunched over, an infant on your chest, hugged in a carrier, perhaps tugging. So this would not be proper grammar. We don't have a noun. She's perhaps tugging on your nipple, possibly dying from suffocation at any moment. Per hissing warning labels. Per hissing labels. A toddler who won't hold your hand. A toddler won't hold your hand. A toddler won't hold your hand because you're his safe person. And this is how his feelings about his new little sister are manifesting, telling you to go back to sleep when you touch him. He could die at any moment. He could die at any moment, and you'll be just as helpless. Oh, yeah, there's another as. Oh, there's our steeper timer. Okay, sorry, Instagram, that I removed your screen last time because you cannot see it anymore. So I'm just going to leave it and hope it'll come back at some point. Okay, so this is a Zanzibar. It's going to be pretty clove and cinnamon heavy. It also has essential orange oil. And it is also a rooibos, which is an African tea full of antioxidants. So all the really wonderful things that tea does for you, except it's naturally caffeine free. So if you're avoiding caffeine for whatever reason, this is a really, really, really good tea to work on. Okay. What does this remind me of? It is really cinnamon heavy. It is really clove heavy. It's got those warm winter vibes. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just like the apple cinnamon or apple cider, like cinnamon clove thing. Let's see. Wow. That is surprisingly sweet. Whoa. Wow. That is very sweet. Wow. How yummy. This just soared to the top of my list. Zanzibar. That was very surprising because you don't think of cinnamon or cloves or I mean, maybe the orange oil. I don't know essential oils well enough, I guess. But yeah, I did that just like that is so sweet and so delicious. And one of my wow, new favorite teas. So far, this is definitely beating the Roy hibiscus because Roy is not my fave. Holy cow, that is very yummy. Wow. Thanks, Urban Tea House. Fantastic. Whew, I will definitely be behind that again. Okay, let us continue on this poetry writing journey. This will be like our last little stretch before I review our last tea. Um, okay, did we review all of the rules? Furious bird, disoriented, you waddle hunched over, an infant on your chest, hugged, and a carrier. She's perhaps tugging. I guess I could do a carrier. Imprint on your chest. I could probably do this. I think that would be fine. Perhaps tugging on your soul, possibly dying from supplication. I could even say probably dying. Yeah, I mean, that's how I felt. Probably dying from suffocation at any moment per hissing labels, per warning labels. I'll go back to this warning labels. A toddler won't hold your hand because you're his safe person. And this is how his feelings about his new little sister, are manifesting, telling you to go back to sleep when you touch him. He could die. Oh, I think I skipped the senses. Try to describe at least 3 of the 5 senses. Okay, let's go back to that. Hugged. There's lots of touch. God, isn't there lots of touch? You're hugged when you touch him. Cleared to lift. Okay, smell, taste, touch, sight. Not recovered. Okay, you're not recovered from labor yet and haven't been cleared to lift anything heavier than a newborn. Okay, we're just gonna skip the senses one. Proper grammar. Let's read the poem out loud. Play with word sounds, word arrangement, punctuation, and line breaks to evoke the sensations you want the poem to have as someone is reading it. If this is too weird, don't worry about it. Delirious, blurred, disoriented, you waddle, hunched over, an infant on your chest, hugged in a carrier, perhaps tugging on your nipple, probably dying from suffocation at any moment per warning labels. A toddler won't hold your hand because you're his safe person, and this is how his feelings about his sister are manifesting, telling you to go back to sleep when you touch him. He could die at any moment, and you'd be just as helpless. You're not recovered from labor and haven't been cleared to lift anything heavier than a newborn. I wonder if there's something we could do about like this is so sensory filled. You're helpless. recovered from labor. Okay, haven't been cleared. I think the passive voice is getting this too long. And doctor's orders. You can only lift the newborn. Doctor's orders. Okay. Okay. I like this a lot. So if you're just joining us, we're writing poetry live. Hello. So glad to see you. We are going through the poetry journal, a simple guide to seeing the poem in every day. We're using this to guide writing postpartum poetry. If you're interested in the process, there is a free link in the description of this video. I do mean free. Not even putting in your email or anything, which is like for free because MailChimp wasn't working. Naja! Oh my goodness! My friend. Hello. We're writing poetry and drinking tea. Naja is also a really great poet. Okay, so what I like about how this, what we're doing tonight, Naja, is you're telling us what you're drinking. I'm drinking, this is a Zanzibar rooibos from the Zanzibar archipelago in Tanzania in East Africa. And it is so yummy. I was very surprised. I thought it's got cloves in it and cinnamon, and the cloves are from Zanzibar, and essential orange oil. And I was blown away with how sweet it is. And maybe anyone who knows anything about essential oil is not surprised, but I was very surprised. Okay, we're working on this little poem here. And what I like about what I just did is you see a lot of like I'm waddling hunched over, an infant is hugged to my chest and a carrier tugging on my nipple, dying from suffocation, like just very close. And then there's almost a sterility to the distance that the toddler is keeping in the second stanza. So I like that. Okay, I'm going to read it out loud and see if there's anything just right now that we can make a difference on. Delirious, blurred, disoriented, you waddle, hunched over, an infant on your chest, hugged in a carrier, perhaps tugging on your nipple, probably dying from suffocation at any moment, per warning labels. Per warnings. Per warning. Hiss the warning. Hiss the labels. Hiss per. Cry the warning labels. There's something about this I don't like. I had like hissing labels and then I changed it back to warning labels. Any suggestions are welcome. Probably dying from suffocation in a moment. Okay, I'll come back to that. Toddler won't hold your hand because you're his safe person, and this is how his feelings about his sister are manifesting, telling you to go back to sleep when you touch him. He could die at any moment, and you're helpless. You can only lift the newborn. Doctor's orders. So I have to keep space from him too, which is like just the heartbreakingness of that. Like they're so intimate with your little baby, and there has to like put so much distance between you and your body putting so much distance. I like how all this has turned out. So probably dying from suffocation. Let's per warning labels. These warning labels are so scary. Probably dying from suffocation at any moment. Per warning labels. Says warning labels. Orders warning labels. order warning labels. Any moment, order warning labels. But that's, I don't know. Is there a word that they use in the hospital for the disclaimers they have to give? Like you have to sign the paperwork. His seems to fit. Hiss. Okay. Heather likes hiss. Heather, you're still here. How nice. And you can see it on your screen now, which is also nice. I don't know what's going on. I'll just leave it up. I thought, anyway, whatever, it's fine. Any moment, hiss. Okay, what do you think about, do you think hiss labels or hiss warning labels? Do you think hiss without the warning, it's enough? I don't know. Let's think on that. You're a little delayed for me, but I will, you let me know what you think about that. And I'm actually, I'm trying to think if we've got time on the clock. We've got 8 minutes before I would be looking at my next tea. But what I might go and do is get that one started. Okay, heat up the water for the next tea. All right. There it goes. Okay, I think hiss is enough. Hiss lips. Okay, all right, I think we made a poem, you guys. Hooray! This one's so much better than last time. Heather, Naja, my poetry friends. It's your vibes. It's your vibes. Okay. Delirious, blurred, disoriented. You waddle, hunched over, an infant on your chest, hugged in a carrier, perhaps tugging on your nipple, probably dying from suffocation. At any moment, hiss labels. A toddler won't hold your hand because you're his safe person. And this is how his feelings about his sister are manifesting, telling you to go back to sleep when you touch him. He could die at any moment and you're helpless. You can only lift the newborn. Doctor's orders. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Round of applause. Everyone, hooray, we made a poem. We made a poem. We made a poem. I'm going to put this in the thing with other poems. Okay, to postpartum. Postpartum poems. Here they are. All right, so our final tea for the night is a cream caramel rooibos. This is personally one of my favorite teas. I'm gonna pour it on in. Shoop, 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 shoop. Yeah, this is one of my favorite teas. It just says rooibos on the ingredient, so I don't know. It looks to me like it's got little caramel chunks in it. I'm not entirely sure. Again, these are from Urban Tea House. The rooiboses originate in Africa. It's a red tea. It is naturally decaffeinated and it has high antioxidants and they are lovely. I love rooibos. I discovered rooibos in college and I'm just gonna let this timer be our sleep timer. I discovered rooiboses in college and I've been drinking them ever since. I do not drink caffeine. So this is a really great alternative for me when I don't want your standard chamomile or something like that. If the coffee shop has any interesting flavors, they usually have some kind of rooibos there. It's naturally decaffeinated, originates in South Africa. Yeah, and I was surprised to see that rooibos was the only thing listed on the ingredients. So we're going to let that steep. And we'll finish this one. What was this? Zanzibar. So yummy. I will drink more of this a lot. Okay, we're going to put our postpartum poem down here. I'm taking suggestions on names. Something I really liked about this one was, this text is really small. Sorry, team. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Okay, I could do like a dying from suffocation. You can only lift the newborn. Doctor's orders. Oh, I can already smell that cream caramel. And it's like so pretty. Look at that. It's more orangey. Of course, this one has steeped longer at this point, so but I can already smell it. It is so good. Hmm. Okay, I'm gonna go with if you guys have any name recommendations, I would love to hear them. I'm gonna go a warning label for now. All right, so I don't have any recommendations for naming poems. So maybe I should go back in my poetry books and check in on that. But if people have like insights on how they name their poems, I tell me. I'm here for it. All right. Exit out of this. Um, I guess I don't really want to start on a new poem. So I'm just gonna exit out of the poetry. I do like this next one. I'll just read what I've got so far. Um, and it'll just be like a teaser maybe or something. So this is called So Far. What is ordinary? A tree, a cosp of trees, a fox that lives in the trees, a house with windows that are a portal to the trees, a bare chested mother inside the house looking at the trees, the widow knowing the fox has pups somewhere in the cosp of trees. Tornadoes are ordinary. Tornadoes that go through towns are ordinary. Tornadoes that uproot trees older than the town are ordinary. Broken nests and missing baby birds that were in the downed trees are ordinary, as are the mother hawks perched in a tree that made it flying around where her nest used to be are ordinary. A hawk that took many squirrels to her babies from the cosp of trees. Water breaking is ordinary. Pitocin is ordinary. 4 bags and catching them quickly is ordinary. 4 bags and catching them 30 hours into labor is ordinary. Babies not crying when they come out is ordinary. Feeling ashamed for being too loud in labor is ordinary. Skin to skin is ordinary. Liking your nurse is ordinary. Feeling like you stopped for too long is ordinary. Not sure if you want people to come or stay away is ordinary. Being tired when she cries is ordinary. Being annoyed is ordinary. The adrenaline and feeling like you're not sure why you took off from work is ordinary. The crash and never wanting to come out from under your weighted blanket is ordinary. Your hurting back is ordinary. In fact, your mom recognizes the walk. Cool. I like that one. Okay, I'm excited to hop into that someday, maybe next week. We'll see. Thanks. No, haha, we have to drink the cream caramel. Let's see how much time is left. We can do that now. It's gonna be hot. Let's finish this one. I'm gonna take this off the screen. Doop de doo. All right, here we go. Drinking. Ah, so yummy. Oh my goodness. Man. Mm. Okay, sorry. I just like what's it called? Pounded? Maybe that's just too old. Or maybe it's so old that it's come back in style. That's a thing. Like Doc Martens. What? Wild. Peasant tops. Okay, here's the deal, you guys. We are drinking a cream caramel rooibos. By we, I mean me. We just talking. The royal we around here in the Lozier household. So rooibos tea originates from Africa. It is caffeine free, naturally loaded with antioxidants. This has historically been one of my favorite rooiboses from Urban Tea House Cream Caramel. But after having that Zanzibar tea and it being so sweet, this is not as sweet anymore. The other interesting thing about it is that it only has rooibos listed in the ingredients, but I'm pretty sure there's like caramel squares in there. So I don't know, not ask them about it. Because who has time to do that? Not me. Ah, but it does smell so good. Okay. Okay, cool beans. Well, thanks everyone for writing poetry with me tonight. I'm really proud of what we did. Naja, Heather, everyone else who has joined. I hope you guys have a fantastic Friday. Um, don't forget that you matter to this world. I am so, so honored to know you. You are fantastic humans. Thank you so much for being you. And I will catch you next time. Bye. Doop, doop.